Hello and welcome to One on One. I'm Vernon Ramesar and I'm very pleased to say my guest today is Tennille Amor, a young woman who wears many hats: singer, songwriter, philanthropist, public speaker, writer, actor, movement maker and role model. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
This was an unexpected interview and I'm so glad you were able to come.
So happy to
Thanks
be
to Renee Cummings for arranging it.
Yes,
you have a pretty exciting year ahead of you. You've had a pretty exciting career behind you as well already.
Yeah.
Where do we start? First of all, obviously music is your passion.
Yes.
How did you get into it in the first place?
I've been singing since I was very young, songwriting since I was about 11, and it's always been my way of being able to express myself through the music and somewhat therapeutically release whatever it is that I have inside of me. So yeah, it's definitely my passion, definitely the thing that gets me up in the morning and makes me feel excited about what's ahead. For sure.
And you've had many cultural influences, haven't you, as
Yeah.
well? You're originally from Trinidad, but you've been all over the world, basically.
Yeah. My family's all from Trinidad, so my grandparents are all Trini, my parents, my cousins. I actually was born in Scotland due to my dad's job. I lived in England, Egypt, Singapore, ended up in New York, which is where I live currently, but Trinidad's always been a home base. It's where I've always come back to. Summers, Christmases, everything was spent in Trinidad.
Almost Carnival this year, but not quite.
Almost this year, but many years in the past. I've played Carnival many years in the past, and I'm sure we'll play again many years in the future.
No, I'm not really a big expert on music, so obviously when I knew you were coming on, I went to check some of your videos, and you have...
Sure.
I mean, the fact that you've lived around the world is reflected in your music as well, isn't it?
Definitely.
It's people, you're not just singing soca, for example.
No.
Maybe elements of it, there's other influences coming in there. What sort of, how would you describe your musical style?
I'd say that it's pop, for sure. It's mainstream, but it has reggae and hip-hop influences. And as you said, like, there's a little bit of soca in there, a little bit of EDM sometimes. It's really just based on, like you said, the cultural experiences that I've had, the different people that I meet, the different songwriters, producers. I'm a songwriter, I write all my own material, but working with different producers and just having their ear and their taste in style and their genre definitely impacts the music that we end up making. So.
Now, you just released an album.
I'm releasing
an album.
Yes.
It's running a bit late, I gather.
It
it's supposed
is
to be
running
out
late, yeah.
End of 2015.
Yes.
But the number of people you've collaborated with is pretty staggering. I mean, how do you get in contact with all these people? We're talking big names, local names, all kinds of names.
Yeah, each person's different. Shaggy is the one that I'm working with quite a bit. I've been working with in New York. Great person, great guy, very humble, down to earth. I met him actually through Anya Youngchi, who's also a
lovely
very good
Anya,
friend of mine. Yeah.
Been on the program several times.
Love her. Yeah, so Anya actually introduced us, and it was just at a dinner, and we ended up talking, and he and I started talking music, and he said he would love to hear my music, which he did. Invited me to his studio. I played him some things. He loved it. He said that he would love to work together on some things. And he's been, you know, somewhat mentoring me since that time. He's a friend now and a mentor, really. And just kind of helping me really hone in on my sound. So we have a couple of songs together, one specifically on my album. Well, he's on two of the songs on my album, but one's just kind of, he's hyping up the song. The other one, he's actually featured on it. Bunji Garlin, I worked with him. We put out a song together last year called I Want Your Love. Bunji and I, very randomly...
That was a great little song, by the way.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I reached out to him on Instagram, funnily enough. I just told him
Don't you love social media?
Yeah, I really do. I told him that I was, you know, obviously a big fan of his music and his drive and his message. I love that he has a lot of depth in his music, a lot of meaningful lyrical content, which I definitely connect to because that's what I do with my music as well. Definitely all the songs have a meaning behind them. And I told him that I had a song that I would love for him to do a feature on, and he said, send it to me, which I did, and he loved it, and he's like, yeah, I'll definitely do it. And so it was really, really amazing and organic how that happened. But I absolutely love who Bunji is, what he stands for, his values and everything. I'd love to do something with Faye too. She and I have spoken about doing something together, and we want to do something potentially either this year or next year. And then
in the video, it seems like you're best friends forever. I mean,
yeah, it's so funny because that was
it really comes across.
I think the video might have been the first. No, we met one time before that, or it may have been the first day that we met.
Really?
The video, yeah. So we just had a natural chemistry
together.
Like
an artistic chemistry going on there.
Yeah, very much so. And it was, you know, it's so funny because there's so many people leaving comments on the video and stuff talking about, oh my God, I can't believe that Fan would let Bunji do that, and she must have been on the set, and rah, 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 and she wasn't on the set. It was just Bunji, you know, Bunji and I and the film crew, obviously, and obviously we were acting, you know. Yeah. And
but that's why you're also an actor.
An actor, yeah. So, and he is too. Bunji's a very talented actor, and it's something that we had discussed beforehand. I told him the concept of the video, what I wanted to do. Obviously, it is a love song. It's a breakup song, so we wanted to show both sides of the relationship, you know, the passion of the relationship as well as the, you know, the heartbreak side of it. So he was very willing and wanted to express the meaning of the song through the video by acting it out. So it was something that we both felt really good about doing, and I think it's been, I love that people get so hyped about it on the social media, on YouTube and stuff, because it means that obviously we did a good enough job
that
people, people believed it.
And you've also collaborated and worked with John Legend.
Yes.
On a song.
I did.
You're pals with Daniel Bedingfield.
Yeah.
So you made it clear that you haven't actually done anything officially with him, but you're good friends.
Well, no, we've like done like jam sessions at his house and just had fun and yeah, but nothing official. We've never worked together.
I mean, do you really consider yourself very lucky to have association with some of these wonderful performers?
Very, very fortunate, for sure. Yeah, I don't know how, other than God orchestrating everything, but
or Instagram, depending.
Or Instagram, there you go. No, I mean, I moved to New York and I didn't know anyone. I didn't know anyone in the States. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea how I was gonna. I came with like a little demo CD, and I thought that was how you broke into the industry at the time, and
it wasn't, I guess.
No, not at all.
Darn.
Not at all.
Well, I mean, would you say when you're trying to start off in a career in music, certainly in a competitive place like New York City, that you need perhaps a combination of bravery and naivety at the same time to sort of plow your way through?
Perfect combination. It's very true. Yeah, a lot of naivety and
to not say, what am I doing? Am I stupid? Should I go ahead and do this? And just go, no, I'm going to do this because I don't know any better. And,
yes, faith.
Yeah.
A lot of it is faith. A lot of it is trusting in your purpose and your calling, what you believe your calling to be. I genuinely believe that this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. I don't see there being any other option for my life. It's again the thing that I'm most passionate about. It's the thing that excites me the most in my life. If I'm in a studio or if I'm at home sitting in front of my computer writing a song, and I just feel that feeling of the excitement that you get when you're doing what you know you're supposed to be doing. There's no other feeling like that feeling. And that's what drives you forward. That's what keeps you going with it, because, and then there are the moments, like those key moments in your career that remind you that this is working. You know, like these are people that I shouldn't be in the same room with, really, never mind like working on songs with or collaborating on things with. So John Legend is another, I mean, he's a perfect example of someone that actually I knew before he was famous and before he was successful. Really? Yeah, and so I watched him go from being John Stevens, before, you know, that was his legal name, to John Legend, and watching him blossom. And actually I was fortunate enough randomly to be at the Grammys when he won his first Grammy, and that was such a beautiful moment for me to be able to experience, seeing him grow through his career and see him. So seeing that, I think, also puts it into perspective as well, and just shows me and other people that the people that we have elevated into these positions of success, because obviously they're extremely talented and have worked hard to get where they are, at some point we're still hustling and trying to make it happen too. So it's interesting. My journey has been a very long journey, in the sense of I've gone through many different stages in my career, different explored different genres with my style and my sound. I feel like I've finally found what best represents me.
You're basically looking for your voice, aren't you?
Yeah.
The same way an actor is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think part of it is because I'm a songwriter, I can write different styles, so that was always difficult for me in choosing something, and I still, even with this album, it's not one thing. It's not just like, okay, this is a reggae album or this is a hip-hop album. It's not. And that's why it is pop, because all of the songs are commercially viable and mainstream friendly, but they're eclectic in the sound, which I like, and I think that the generation, the next generation wants that, and that's the feedback that I've gotten from the people that have heard the album in its entirety. They love the fact that no song sounds like, oh, you just made the exact same song again, which sometimes can be the case with some artists, that you hear the same or a similar sound for each of their songs.
Almost like a signature.
Yeah. And I to be honest, I don't know if I have a signature that it's like that this is what, I think that I love the fact that as an artist I'm able to express myself in different ways.
Are there challenges in being a songwriter and a performer? Because I'm sure there are instances where you may have had people saying, well, I love that song, perhaps you shouldn't be singing it though, for example.
I've had that sometimes.
Like Carole King, I know, has gone through that many times in her career.
Yeah, when did that happen? I have experienced, I can't think of a specific situation that has happened, but it has happened before. And that, honestly, like, it doesn't, I had a song that someone was like, oh, that sounds very much like a Gwen Stefani song, like, maybe you should give it to her. And I was like, yeah, get it to her, like, send it to her. I would actually love for her to do that. And that song in particular was sent to Gwen, and she actually did love it, but she ended up deciding that she wanted to write her own stuff for her album at that time, and didn't end up using it. But for me as a songwriter, I'm not, I used to be very, what's the word, just very protective over my content, and wanted it, like, I was like, well, no, I wrote it for me, so it has to be for me. And it has, but now I feel a lot more comfortable with the fact that sometimes I might write a song and it might not be the right song. Is that
the point when you think, well, what I've written is a work of art and it may not be the most appropriate thing for me to sing, but somebody has to sing it to make it sound its best?
Exactly.
So you're almost like a parent giving up a child at that point, aren't you?
And
for the good of the child.
Yeah, exactly. And it is something that I think that part of it is that I know that I would love to continue being an artist within this industry for the next however many years, but eventually I do want to take a back seat and focus on the songwriting, because that's what I'm most passionate about. I love performing, I love to sing, I love being able to use that platform to speak on other things that I also am passionate about and that I care about. But at the same time, at some point in my career, I do want to step back and still continue to produce music and write, but give it to other artists. So it doesn't, that part of it actually is exciting to me, to think that music that I've written can take on the form, like, for example, the song that John Legend and I wrote with Pixie Lott, who's a singer in the UK, very good friend of mine, to write the song You Win for her album with John and Pixie together, 3 of us collaborating together. It's so great to hear it, because that song would never be a song for me, but it was perfect for Pixie, you know. So to hear Pixie sing that, and you know, whether she's singing it live or hearing the album recording, and it's just such a beautiful recording of that song that collaboratively we wrote together. It's such a beautiful experience too.
And you're creating a larger audience for your art as well, aren't you?
For sure.
Because some people may not like your singing style, for example, but they might like the other person who happens to be singing it.
Exactly.
Now, you mentioned this sort of watershed moment for you when you were at the Grammys and John Legend got his Grammy. What are your sort of personal benchmarks that you're looking forward to let you know that you've reached a new level in your career? Is it about getting prizes like Grammys and things like that?
No, it's funny because someone asked me this question recently, and I genuinely don't feel like I have them anymore. It's a weird thing. I used to feel like, oh, well, if I reach this point, then I will have, quote unquote, made it. Or if I reach that point, then I will have made it. Or, you know, this is what defines success, or this is what would make me a successful artist. For me, I feel so fortunate to do what I'm doing and to continue to be able to do that every day, you know, and that I'm able to create and that I'm able to have music that is going to last for as long, you know, longer than I'm going to be here for. And that to me is beautiful in itself. And then to be given the opportunity to be asked to perform at the United Nations and to have like that to me is a huge honor. But truthfully, it's been the journey. It's been all of these people that I've been able to collaborate with, all of the people that I've been able to connect with, people who've now become my friends, a lot of them. That's what matters to me more than an award or
a huge bank account.
Exactly. Yeah. I've never been in it for the money. I think if you're in it for the money or for the fame, you'll never be fully satisfied, because there will always be more and always be striving towards something that is unattainable, because there's always more. There's always, and I've seen that because I've been with the most impoverished people in the world, and I've been with people who have the most money, literally, like I know some of the richest people in the world, and the people who don't have are actually the ones who are the happiest, in my experience. I've seen it.
Because they find joy in little things.
Exactly. Yeah.
You gave a teaser with the UN, and I should let people know that wasn't just a teaser,
Yeah.
because we're going to have you on for 2 parts of
Great.
this interview, so we'll
Yeah.
have ample time to talk about that.
Absolutely.
But in terms of, you mentioned about people who have a lot of money and great success and become really huge international stars. To some extent, that would be, to me, antithetical to the idea of being an artist, because at that point, it becomes all about what the record labels want you to do and what the public expects you to do, et cetera, et cetera. And you're not doing necessarily what you want to do.
Well, that's been a huge challenge for me as well, as far as I haven't shopped my album to record labels. Actually, I had a meeting right before I came to Trinidad with a friend of mine. It wasn't an official meeting, it was just a friend of mine who works at a label in New York, because I wanted to just play him some stuff, and he was there with another label person as well. And they were both loving the music, the content from my album. They're like, this song is a hit, this song is huge, this one's great, and feeling really excited about my project. And I was asking them, I was like, I don't know what I should do, in the sense of, do you think that I should try and shop this? Do you think that I should try, like I have now, like these little things that are happening that obviously are gonna open up some more doors. I wanna do the right thing. And they're like, honestly, Tennille, what you've done without a label, without even management, without, like, I have an attorney, but that's like the only person really on my team, so to speak. I have a lot of other people on my team who've come together in support of this project that I'm working on currently, who are incredible people who understand the vision and the purpose and the passion behind what I'm doing. But my friends were telling me, like, don't sign to a label. What you're doing right now and the momentum that you're building right now, and just the fact that right now social media allows us to have so much creative control as artists over our careers, and to be able to do what we genuinely believe in and what we want to put out there, as opposed to, like you said, what the record label tells us we need to be doing. What the record label tells us as females, a lot of times, what we need to be wearing or how we need to be. And
that's a whole different discussion, isn't it?
A whole different discussion. But because I know who I am, because I know what I want to put out content-wise, because I've been given this opportunity to have these, you know, little milestones that you talked about, and the people who are in my corner supporting what I'm doing, I'm not really looking to have a major label tell me what to do or not do at this point.
Because it kind of makes you wonder, when you think of some of the, I guess, the more prominent artists around now. Let's look at Lady Gaga, for example.
Yeah.
She started off indie, making a name for herself for being outrageous in clubs and things like that. And one wonders if she actually is as happy now with all her experience of the fame monster, if you will, as opposed to then when she was just doing her thing and enjoying it. She probably has lots more money, but...
Yeah, and it's true. You see that with a lot of artists, and I think that there is a fine line, because if you're not strong in who you are, and even if you are strong in who you are, you sign a contract. So you've signed basically
your life away,
kind of, in a sense. And I'm not saying that I never I never would sign my life away. I am saying that I would never do that. Yeah. But I'm not saying that I would never sign into a contractual agreement that would mean that I would have to make certain compromises. I think that part of business is understanding that sometimes you do have to make compromises, but never sacrifices. I think that you should never have to sacrifice who you are. Or maybe I've mixed it up. Maybe it's that you make sacrifices, but you don't compromise who you are. You know, but I would never...
It's also compromising your art as well, isn't it? If you're being told, okay, we'll sign you to a contract, we want 4 new albums in the next 4 years.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden next year you think, no, I'm not feeling, I need to recharge my batteries and go away for a year and a half.
Right.
But you're stuck, you've got to make an album.
Yes.
Even if it's mediocre and doesn't represent you very well.
Sure. So there are all of those factors too that are really, that's why for me, I've stopped kind of trying to figure out, well, if this happens, it used to be, once I get signed, then it's, you know, you make it, which is so not the case, because you could be signed and never put out an album because you're shelved, which is something that people don't understand as well. Or you could put out an album and then they don't promote it properly, or, you know, so there's multiple things that, it's not to say that once you get signed, all of a sudden you've made it, but that was my perception at one point in time. So that's why now I no longer have those things that I think, well, as when this happens or when that happens. I'm really genuinely loving being in this moment and being in every moment and really being able to recognize that it is in the journey. And it sounds so corny and it sounds almost cliched to say that, but it's true. It is about the journey way more than it is about the destination.
So you're not driven by money, you're not driven by this urge for fame that'll force you to do anything you have to do just to get to the top.
Nope.
Which is probably why you come across as confident and happy.
Thank you. I am very happy, and thank you. I feel confident.
I suppose your ability to communicate in song is pretty well reflected in your ability to just communicate in general, isn't it? Because I was watching a couple of your speeches, because you have a couple of foundations, the Amor movement, Artists Motivating Optimistic Revolution, and EPIC, which is Everyday People Initiating Change, which is organizing to drill clean wells in Tanzania, in Africa. And you're very confident in how you speak. You come across as a genuine person. That's important, isn't it, to be a genuine self?
I think so. Yeah, I think that you can feel that when you talk to people. You can feel whether they are trying to be something that they're not, or if they're insecure in who they are and trying to overcompensate in some sort of way, or trying to, whatever it is. Like if someone's not themselves, you definitely feel that. And I think that you can feel if someone is sincere or if they're false or trying to, you know, I don't know how to do that, because my friends will tell you, like...
I've had a lot of people sitting in that chair who do know how to do it very well. But, yeah.
No, my friends, it's hard sometimes because we could be out somewhere and if I'm not feeling a vibe of a person, I can't communicate with them, and they, you know, I've been called socially awkward before, which I could say is true about myself, in the sense of if I'm in a room of people who I don't feel comfortable around, then I do tend to just, you know, become an introvert and just kind of go into my shell and not want to.
That must happen a lot in the music business, though, because there are a lot of very unreal people in the music business. Yeah,
for sure. I've been very fortunate, though. My experiences, I've had met really great people, worked with really great people. Another one that we didn't mention earlier, Mr. Vegas, I worked with as well, who is such a lovely person to work with too. So yeah, I have been fortunate with the people that I've worked with, but a lot of the people on the business side of it can be those phony, like, oh yeah, telling you what you want to hear and really, you know. But
before we run out of time in this first part of our interview, we mentioned at the beginning that you're considered by many to be a role model, because as an example of what a young person can achieve. But who do you look to as role models yourself?
I have one of them on my shirt right now, Lauryn Hill.
Right.
Yeah, she's
from
a great
Fugees,
one. Yeah, from the Fugees and from her own, you know, solo career.
I'm older, it's like opposite the first part.
Yeah, she's someone who I think maintained her integrity throughout her career and writes about what she believes in, and to me, she's definitely a huge influence in my music. Bob Marley, another influence, and someone who I have a lot of respect for. Current artists, Sia as a songwriter, I think Sia is an incredible vocalist and songwriter and artist. I think she's amazing, and I love that she also is not into the fame side of things.
To the point of you never actually see her.
Yeah. Current artists.
How do you feel about Adele, the sort of blue-eyed?
I love Adele. I think Adele is so phenomenally talented. She's so humble, so down to earth. Yeah, I love her. I think she's amazing. Even what happened at the Grammys, I think is really funny.
And she made fun of it afterwards.
And she made fun. I mean, and it wasn't her fault. So it's just. And then she even said too on Ellen. I don't know if you saw the interview she gave, but she was saying, "I'm always flat." Like, so that wasn't a big deal. You know, like I always sing a little bit pitchy. So, and I love that. She's so humble. One of the best vocalists right now.
And doesn't even take herself seriously.
Doesn't take herself seriously.
Well, Tennille Amor, we're out of time. We'll continue our conversation and talk about some of the pretty amazing things you're going to be doing with the UN coming up very shortly. But in the meantime, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much
for having me. A great pleasure. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
You've been watching 101. Join us again tomorrow for part 2.